Welcome back to the Traders Network show, broadcasting worldwide from Davos, Switzerland. I'm your host, Matt Bird. We're here with our continued coverage of the 2020 World Economic Forum, and my next guests are Pablo Lobo, CEO and founder of Sthorm, and Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, Guns N' Roses, Velvet Revolver, Grammy Award winner, Matt Sorum. Is that right? I get that right? Yeah. Matt, thank you.
Thank you.
Pablo, thank you. Pablo, we're here today. All of us are here today, and the crowd that's in there waiting for you guys to come out of here, because what's happened back in 2010 with your son, and how you that story and how it evolved into Sthorm today. I don't think I could do this justice, so I'm going to pass you to Mike. And why don't you tell us a little bit about the journey that you went on and why we're here right now, leading up to where we're at today. And Matt, we'll pass it off to how you guys got connected and where this is all going. Does that sound good?
Yes, sir.
All right, Pablo, here you go.
Hi Matt, thank you. Two Matt, so it'll be easy. Okay, basically, I used to have a large production company in Brazil, like the movies and music, investing in music mostly. That's how we met, like more than 10 years ago, but Matt can tell a little bit more about it. And in 2010, my son, he got sick, and so we spent around 5 hours trying to find out what happened and what's happening with him, and he was getting worse and worse. And then he starts scissoring, and the scissors last for probably 5 hours, and we ended up in a hospital. We saw a physician, and this young physician, she came to us. She came to my wife actually and said, "I want to try everything that I think that can be, and if you sign here, I will try probably like maybe 2 or 3 things that he can have." Yeah. So she tried. One of the things that she tried was herpes encephalitis. So and she made a very good job, because this kind of encephalitis can kill you in 2 days. You have probably not more than 24 hours to treat. After this there's no chance. Make the long story short, we spent 1 year in the hospital with him. And he lost half of the brain. And after this, I decided to shut down the company and make my hobby. I used to always work with technology, and I decided to work with technology to help people, to make something that could really impact people, the planet. And I called Matt and said, I'm quitting. I'm selling the company, and I really wanted you to join me in this new venture. In that, back in the days was We Do, a different name, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, the name was not We Do, but we started working in a game to help people, like Pokemon Go alike. But instead you go after monsters, collect monsters, you have to go after problems, pain points, people, and evolve as a human being. You know, you don't gain strength or magic points, but you gain altruism and generosity points, something like this. That's how I'll start.
Yeah, so basically I met, Pablo. I went down to Brazil, Sao Paulo. When I was in Guns N' Roses, we were a really big band down there. We used to play Maracanã Stadium, 150,000 people. So I already had that relationship with Brazil. And then obviously my connection to America, people that I knew could make, a nice, tie between America and Brazil, because there's a lot of great tech going on down there. There's a lot of brilliant minds. And so we started out on a bunch of projects. I've always believed in Pablo, but when Sthorm came along and the science of viral cure and what's happening within that platform, it's very exciting, because there's a lot of viruses out there that aren't being cured based on the fact that they're third world problems, if that makes sense. Yeah. So, these big pharmaceutical companies don't want to buy these patents because there's really no money in it. So we still have Zika virus, we still have malaria. There's a lot of diseases out there, and Viral Cure is one of the startups under our umbrella company, Sthorm, and we have great scientists, and we're very close to coming up with solutions for that. And then music and art, that's why I came in, and we're here at GBBC because this is a blockchain solution forum. And that's coming, because I come from music where things got really shaken up in digital. Yeah. You remember, I'm from back in the day when we made records and CDs and cassettes even. Cassettes. And then along came Napster, and then Steve Jobs was the first one to really figure out that now we can stream music. So I don't really see it as a much different paradigm with blockchain. It's just a matter of educating people. I think that they think, Bitcoin and Ethereum and all these things are sort of a get-rich-quick thing. It's not Vegas. We're trying to build protocols here to run financial systems in a more expedient way. And for musicians, myself, I think the future is real-time payments because we have real-time streaming. But the thing is, we have to educate people. So blockchain is still kind of a little bit of a foreign language. But Sthorm's got great initiatives in waste, which we're looking at. And then, art. We have digital arts becoming a reality. There's like stuff going on online where people are buying art online that's not even real. It's digital. Yeah, they sold one digital rose for $1 million online, right? And then crypto kitties. So there's really cool stuff happening. And the thing that's cool about Davos is everyone's here looking for solutions, obviously, to a lot of things, climate change, all the way across the board to solutions for my world, art and music. And it's exciting.
Oh, man, it's amazing. Okay, so Sthorm is treading new ground on the blockchain side. I can now see the connection between blockchain on the health sector because of the data sets and the outcomes that it produces when you integrate it into the medical environment. You definitely need institutional adoption, right, to be able to create those personalized medicines that I think what we're talking about right now, right? Pablo, where do you see this going? And aside from all the applications, and it was really well delivered, what you were talking about as far as the different applications that Sthorm is taking on. How do you see this really affecting personalized medicine to prevent outcomes of what happened, or may prevent the complete outcome of what happened with your son or whatnot? Do you see that happening in the next 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years?
I hope so. That's why we're working. Yeah, but I think before personalized medicine comes, this is my opinion, okay, the very personal one. But I think blockchain can play even a bigger role. It's because I think the problem we have today with medicine is that only probably less than 2% of the population, the world, can pay for the mainstream, like the best thing that we have in the market. We have a lot of aberrações. I don't know how to say that in English. Aberrations. I don't know how to, but we have a lot of cases in the industry that, for me, seems not right, not fair. Like nowadays we have a cure for hepatitis C. Probably the cost for the 90 pills that we have to take is, let's say, $100. But why they charge $53,000 for the 90 pills? So I see that blockchain can change the way we fund medicine and maybe create a more affordable market. People can have micro shares and patents, and then we can create that market that people can afford. So I really believe that blockchain can cure not only disease, but it can cure the science, if we find a way to make people get involved. So that's a lot. That's what we're working now. Me and Matt.
And Matt, very rarely come across musicians that can actually geek out on the technical aspects and what it is and deliver the messaging, and you delivered it flawlessly. I mean, as a spokesperson on the musician side, I mean, you get it. Blockchain. I interviewed the global head of a blockchain for IBM earlier today. And we were talking a little bit about how blockchain is a fundamental operating. It's a database, much like SQL. Ultimately, at the end of the day, best case scenario, we never see it, right? That's the best case. It's fully integrated, fully adopted. It's like the mobile system. We're running on the mobile line, but it's not like we're using. I mean, the end GUI is something different. You were talking a little bit about the other applications in music and art and stuff. Where are you hoping this all to go in the next 5 years?
Well, and let's just jump over to music. We were in science and medicine, but in music, there's still the political structure within streaming now. So now as a musician and a new artist, how are you going to be discovered? Because you're still going through the same sort of system that we went through before in the physical world, because there's going to be people that are going to say, you're good, and we're going to put you here because they know somebody or they're connected, right? So as far as, how we get paid as musicians in the publishing world, if you imagine in the blockchain, let's say there's 5 writers on a song, right? And people are trying to attack this issue. There's a lot of blockchain startups out there. And, the idea with GBBC is to get them all together because, obviously they need to go in there and tackle the issue. But all the players within that particular performance, my hope is at someday to get paid in real time. Because now as artists, we wait quarterly and biannually to get paid. So, yeah. So it has to go to the publisher, right? And then it gets all recorded and everything that's happening out in the world. And it goes back to the publisher. And then the publisher sends the money to the business manager. And then they look at the percentage splits and everyone gets paid somewhere down the line, sometimes a year later. Now, can you imagine in a world, you could look at fashion, shopping, whatever you're doing, a company or even a brand could get paid in real time while everything's going on with no, and cut a lot of costs. And I think that the same thing's happening in the music industry that happened when digital came along. When Napster was created by Sean Parker, he brought that to the record companies and offered it to them. And then they were like, why do we need that? We've got cassettes, and then along came Steve Jobs, who understood the concept, and, the rest is history. But, after that, what's the next phase for us? As musicians, we've had to actually struggle because our physical sales have dropped incrementally, and now we're live artists, and we have to make merchandise. So the future game for me, and the best solution would be at some point, these higher ups understand that this is going to save them money in their solutions in the financial market, which we already have seen, with transfers from the World Bank and everything else, that this can happen in real time. Everyone can still get paid, but you're going to save all this middleman moving around, mail, time frame. And that's the exciting thing for me as an artist. And for young artists, peer-to-peer, right? So there's a lot of cool stuff happening in that world. And like I said, digital art, and for impact. At Sthorm, we have a impact art project called Theos, named after his son. But it's basically you do art online, and people tokenize it for impact, for causes, right? It's like art, fun, cause-oriented, like CryptoKitties, but impact. The money goes back to causes within whatever you want it to be, because on the blockchain, you can write that smart contract however you want. That's right. So, yeah. And that would make a lot of solutions for the philanthropic world, which we know is not very well regulated. And a lot of the money doesn't get where it's supposed to go. So if everyone's on a decentralized system, we're able to see that this is really happening. That's the thing.
I love the fact you brought the decentralized in the ledger aspect of it, because we're seeing that right now in Canada and the Trudeau's cabinet. They've deployed in some of the impact initiatives full transparency on use of funds and where it's going. I think you're absolutely right. I think nonprofits, I believe, and I work with a lot of NGOs, as you know, United Nations and EU Parliament and a bunch of others. But on the NGO side, they take in a lot of funds, and those funds are not always appropriated properly.
No, it's very little. It's a very low number.
And there's usually very difficult to get accounting on that stuff, and everybody works really hard to get those NGOs lifted, and it's like, what happens at the other end of it? But not all of them like that. There are some great ones. There are those outlanders. Listen, I know you both have limited time, and there's a sea of people out there waiting for you guys to come out. This is a treat for me, guys. Thank you. Before I wrap it up, why don't we just give this a takeaway? I know you have a book coming out. We'll talk about that in a minute. And I love to be able to follow up, and we're going to connect in New York on that stuff. Pablo, what's next for Sthorm? What do you envision? Where are you driving this? And then the part 2 of this, how can people get involved if they want to get involved? There are a lot of institutions out there. There are a lot of people who have similar stories, right? You're going to reach a mass real-time audience on a lot of networks here. More importantly is you're also reaching out to the financial community here. What's next, and how can people get involved?
Yeah, sure. So basically for us until now, like maybe until last year, we used to work very stealthy, because it's not really easy to, like I told you, to find money for this kind of business model that we envision. We have like something between profit and meaning and impact. So it's really hard to balance. So find investors that really believe that meaning and impact is worth more than profit is a challenge. So we putting together now a new platform and a fund. So the next step now is finish CrowdHack. It's like Kickstarter meets crypto meets CryptoKitties meets all financial markets that we know as hedge funds. We're building like a marketplace for outfund, people that want to invest, want to be investors, because this is something also tricky. You know, if you think about investment, like only 2% of the people in the world can invest, bet money, something, you know, it's not something that everybody, it's luxury, okay? So we really believe that if we build something that can make everybody become investor, micro investments, we can create a different scenario, a different market. So next step for us is finish CrowdHack, that is our marketplace for outfunding, and put together the fund to bring people on, to bring investors and hedge funds, traditional investors, to help us in this hybrid model. You know, so we're putting half of the patents that we achieved last year, dengue antibodies, Zika antibodies, yellow fever antibodies, in a company that people that want profit, they have all the profit they want. Half is them. And with our half, we design a different legal structure to fund the labs, the small labs that we are funding now, that they make a commitment with us. We fund you, we go after money for you, for the amazing research you guys want to do, but we want to have the rights to have, in some case, for poor people that cannot pay, HUD-free. Because the HUD takes, sometimes in countries like mine in Brazil, can be 90% of the final price. So we're using the patents that we are achieving now to put in the deal in the table. And okay, let's try to create affordable markets. That's what the next for us.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Maddie, you're up. You're up. What's going on with you're gonna get hold of me? That's amazing. Thank you, Pablo. Matt, listen, we're wrapping up. Yeah. You've got people out there waiting for you, and tell us a little bit. I know you have a book coming out. Why don't you give that book a little bit of plug, and we'll wrap this up, and you guys can get out to doing your thing.
Yeah, I have a book coming April 7th. Pre-order on Amazon right now. We love those Amazon guys, right? They're taking over everything. And it's called Double Talk and Jive. It's a memoir. It's basically the story of my life and takes all the way up to this point. It's a bit of a wild ride. As Billy Idol would say, he gave me a quote on the back. He said, "Very fun read, wild ride. You should read this." And Lars Ulrich from Metallica just said, you know, it's a must read, because there's a lot of great stories about Guns N' Roses, Metallica, all the bands I was in and stuff, and then all the way up to now, you know, where I'm at now in my life. So thank you, Matt.